So we got JustWacer today, and I think the three main things that I want to kind of hone in on with this race is one, using the whole track and trying to figure out what the fastest line is, and then two, it's on the topic of NOS management. For you, you're patient with your NOS already, and that's the most important part. Like, you've got that pretty much nailed down most of the time. But there's certain situations where you don't use enough NOS, and there's certain situations where you used it right, like while you're already slowing down, and that set back your pace because then you didn't have NOS to get back up to speed. But the third one is, I guess, how you would get consistent with using the whole track and just nailing it down so you know exactly when you have to take a corner, like exactly. So basically turn markers, brake markers, like if you see a certain light pole or if you see something here or there, you know that is exactly when you need to brake or turn. So I'm going to try to go over some of that in this VOD. But starting off, we're going through here, and this is a sketchy racing start, and it looks like you're trying to follow the racing line here, and I mean, in my opinion, you got lucky, because these people are unpredictable. Like, you had an opening here, because you could just scoot right, like, under these people, but, like, if that Super Trofeo was angled, like, directly at you and he hit you, like, dive bombed you, you would be dead. And so, I mean, you can see me on the right. Like, I'll play it extra safe for this first corner. I will cut as close as I can to this building, and if I see an opening where I can come out wide, I'll come out as wide as I can. And I'm fine coming out just a little slower through here, because then I'm past all these people. Like, they're busy hitting each other on the walls, and if I have space to come out wide, I will. If I have to slow down a little bit to get, like, a lane to the right or whatnot, then I will. But that's already a lot of positions gained for me, so I guess the line would be, like, you could start up on the curbs if it's picture perfect, clear as day, there's no chaos happening, it's just you and the track. Start as wide as you can. Start, turning here by this little covered area, and then try to cut, like, as close as you can to the building, like up on the curbs. Like, you want to be up on the curbs by, like, here already, where I am. And then you can cut through here, and you can go left, like to the left of the palm trees right here. But it still works. Like, you're still doing good. You're doing perfectly fine. But it's just, like, little things, little habits that can start costing you time compared to other people. So now you're moving through here, and this line was good, right? But back to using the whole track. Look here. You've got space on the right. If you get up on these curbs, you can carry a wider line through here, assuming that you don't get railed through the apex by someone in a Hunatron. But you could cut your apex just a little closer. Like, I've hit that building trying to cut it close before, and, like, you don't want to do that, but you can cut it closer. So you can get up on these curbs. You can get, like, to the side next to the light pole right here, and you'll carry more speed. And you have more space to correct your corner if you can tell that you're going in too fast. So that's also another positive. But then you're going through here. This is all good. So we're all moving together, getting up to speed. I mean, I don't blame you for going through the concrete walls, because that other corner, like the other line you have to take to not hit anything, is super hard. And then, yeah, we're going through here, but you didn't really use much NOS, and I know it's like you want to avoid contact, especially since we're going through the jump. But then here, I think after this corner, you could have used like half of your top bar. Because this corner, like it takes a second. And yeah, just use a little more here. Like use a half bar, because then you'll definitely have it back by the time you're out of the next corner. But another thing, back to using the whole track, with this section, I noticed that if you get up on the curbs at the right time and you don't go, like you don't get your right wheels over the right side of the curb, then you get slightly more space and you can carry just a little more speed. Plus the light pole slows you down by like 10 miles an hour immediately, so extra braking. But it is kind of splitting hairs, but it does add up. Like I've noticed since I started doing that people have a harder time catching up. And so the same thing applies for this corner. Like you started pretty narrow here, and you're in third. I carry this corner through fourth, but I start out on the edge of the curbs, like this light pole that's next to the racing line, right here. That's basically where I start the corner, and then yeah, I get up right there too, or I try to aim my car. But if I carry this in fourth, I come out on the curbs to the right of you right now. So yeah, I'd say just with these corners, start as wide as you possibly can, because with the ideal line, it's going to be a faster line, and if you make a mistake, you have more space to correct your line after. So coming through here, I think you still could have used more NOS. You're in slipstream, so you got into fifth. But maybe a little more if you were able to get on the curbs and cut through here. But it's sketchy. And then here, I guess the same thing. Like you see me, I get up on the curbs for a split second, and then I try to scuff the checkpoint. Like you scuffed the checkpoint the way I was trying to, but I turned in a little late. But then I come out past the left side of the garden because I was carrying more speed. So back to using the whole track, like that line definitely is faster. And then moving through here, you took that good, right? And then here, like, it's still good, but getting up on the curbs in this section does help a little bit. Like, I don't know about seconds, but tenths for sure. And then yeah, we're almost at the end of this clip, but this is all good. But here, I mean, you turn in pretty early, but what I'd say, like with corners like this, especially like if there's like barriers and stuff, oftentimes they'll give you like a telltale marker of when you should turn. So you turned kind of right at the sign here, but that was, it was about a car length too early, right? And then boom. But a car length later, you have the corner of this barrier, right here. And I'd say that's probably the right time to turn in, because then you're a car length wider and you get to just stay on the road. And then here, I mean, AGP, you get loose. I had the same thing in that game too. But yeah, that's about it for this clip. But your NOS management is good. There's certain instances that, like, if you're not in slipstream, you want to use more. And I'll just flash over this whole section. Oftentimes, like, my flow here is everywhere except this straight. the straight, I'll use my whole half bar. But then coming through here, I'll use like maybe a quarter to a third of my top bar. And then here, I'll use half of my top bar. So it's basically like half of my top bar, half of my top bar, half of my top bar. A little less, I think. From what I remember from taking this route, I usually have a little less by the time I'm here. But then I let it build up so I have a full bar coming through here. And then we're in AGP. But yeah, that also comes with time and practice. So clip 2. You got past the dirt cut, that's good. So like even with this corner, like I know the things I'm saying, like they are mechanically intensive, but racing is mechanically intensive. And I can tell that you have good lines, but like if you put the time in to practice to the point where you can get that extra 10% out of your lines, then I think you can do it. So coming through here, I would, you take this pretty good, but like the little extra micromanagement is I would get a little wider here. I would take a late apex on this so I can come out as wide to the left before this corner as I can. And then I have more space for if I go wide like this. But if I start the corner wider, then I get to carry more speed through this corner. And so you can see me right here. I'm already, like, by the time I come out of this corner, I'm all the way to the right of the road, and I'm using the whole track, and I'm carrying as much speed as I can. But then you come through here, you brake late, so you come wide at the apex. So yeah, with AGP, it's definitely advantageous to start as wide as you can too. It's like, even if you take a slow corner first, don't just shoot straight at the apex or go for the gutters. Like, just try to take the lines, but try to use as much space as you can. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I want to hone in on there. I don't even know what the fuck that was, but yeah. So one more thing here. In this clip, you were like feathering the throttle, like you were like tapping it a couple times. But with these lines, you want to be decisive. You want to have a decisive turn in, which you did. But then you're not sure about what you're doing with your corner exit, so you're like tapping it. But then you come out in the middle of the road. But if you had like a decisive, like just like all out line, like you would come out basically on the right lane using all of your grip, and then you shoot straight to here, which you did. And then you hit your apex, and you were feathering the throttle, but I think if you were just decisive and just got on the throttle like a split second later, then you'd be able to carry more speed. And coming through here, like, this was all good. Like, honestly, I'd get up to the top of 10th. I mean, 7th. Jeez. 7th gear. I try to get up to the top of 7th because that's my marker here. I'm going to turn on Don't Disturb mode after. This is crazy. Okay, yeah, so going through here, this was all good. You hit this, great. And, like, line's good. You get up to the top of 4th, that's good. And this, it's all right. I'd say, honestly, like, try to save like an extra quarter of your top bar here, because I know it's going to be a little bit slower. But here's the thing: if you're by yourself, if you're in no man's land, like, you gotta know when you want to carry speed and when you want to carry momentum. So in Street 2, I'd say momentum is around 200 to 210 miles an hour, and then speed is like 210 plus, right? So through here, I mean, if you get all the way up to like 215, 220, you're gonna lose all that here anyways. You're gonna come out going a little slower, but then you got less NOS. Because then if I come out of here, I'll usually have more NOS. Like, I'll have like 3/4 to a full bar, and I'll use half of it, because then I can carry like 210 through here. And with this corner, it looks like you were trying to follow the racing line, but I mean, you start pretty wide. But I'd say if you can like really dial it in, you can come like all the way to like almost hitting the edge of the barrier, and then you have a way wider corner coming through here, and you don't have to like max lock through here. Like, it takes some practice, but I literally just, I let off the gas around here and try to get as wide as I can to the barrier, and then I just manage my line through here. And typically I'll come out going, let's see, coming out of here, you're going like 130. You can come out going around like 150, 160. So yeah, that also just adds into like you having to use more NOS coming out of certain corners, because I'll use a little bit of NOS to get to the top of 4th, but then I'll use like 3/4 of my top bar to get into 5th. And then by the time I get here and out of here, I'll have a whole bar. So my NOS will be full. But coming through here, so I would say start as wide to the right as you can. I mean, I know that you're about to take a right turn, and it seems a little counterintuitive, like why would I go all the way wide to the right? But if you can take a late apex through here, like starting as wide as you can through the right, then you have a lot of space to take this second line on more on the road than on the dirt. And I'll try to show an example of what a late apex is. I'm assuming you know, but some of the people watching might not know. But you're not using all of the car's grip anyways to like make that full turn in if you're starting as wide as you can. So like I'll be more to the left by the time I'm here, and then I can cut a little through the dirt, but I can carry more speed. I can carry this in fifth. And then I'll have a full bar from what I mentioned earlier and get up to like 210, I guess. But like you're still doing good. It's just little things start turning into tenths, and tenths add up into seconds. But the other thing about NOS management I wanted to talk about is this. You're using it while you're turning at a high speed, and the car already doesn't have a lot of power at the top of fifth. And so like when you start using your NOS, you go in 206, you use that, but then let's see, a split second later, like literally a split second later in the clip, you lose 10 miles an hour immediately. But now you're lower on NOS. Like you used not all of your NOS, but like a good amount. And so now you're coming out of here, and yeah, you used all your NOS, and you're out at 202. But you can carry that whole corner and come out like basically at the same speed, but then you have a full bar of NOS, and you can get up to 220, 230. And then just here, like you're topping yourself off, but you're building your NOS back up. And so it's like little things like that can knock your NOS management off, and then it starts throwing your pace off, and people start catching you. But it's little things. Like you're not making like huge mistakes. It's just little things that start adding up. And I can tell you have the mechanical skill, and you have the patience, you have the precision. It's just you gotta figure out when exactly you want to take certain corners and where exactly you want to be to take those. But that's about it for this clip. This is the last clip, and I mean, same thing. Your lines weren't horrible or anything. It's just like some of them, I guess you could start a little wider or cut a little closer, but that's splitting hairs. And the main thing I want to hone in on here is your NOS usage through this section. So I mean, Psycho and Zara, they caught up to you, and Psycho is in that Audi, and that thing tops out at over 240 miles an hour. Like, he's already going to walk you down, because we got straights and stuff over here. So I don't really see the point in using NOS, especially when you're at the very bottom. Like, you're dipping, like, your NOS bar is turning red, which means that it takes more time to get back, and you're not getting as much bang for your buck. And I mean, you're already, like, if Psycho passes you, you're still going to be in slipstream. Like, you're totally fine. So I'd say your position is less valuable than your NOS right now, because now you get to the jump. Psycho probably has a full bar that he's just ready to just use, right? And you're back on like that, like like you're in the top, you're in the middle, and you're just like praying that you have enough to stay in slipstream without having to use too much. And I've been there, I've done that. But in this case, if you're in slipstream, like just wait, because like what I'm trying to get to is that by the time you're here, you could have had a full bar of NOS and you still would have been in slipstream. And then you would have maybe been able to get a position or just keep it if you were quick enough on the draw. But that's like the only thing that I'm really noticing is that, yeah, you were using a little more NOS before the main straight, and the straights are where your speed matters the most. It's not this little short straight right before you're gonna lose speed, or this little short straight right before you're gonna lose speed. Like, you want to save your NOS here so that you can use a lot of it and get up to speed, get to the highest speed as fast as you can, because the straights are still where it matters the most. But yeah, that's about it. Like, just try using the whole track. Like for each line, like, see what exactly is like the widest I can start this line. How far can I cut my apex? And is there a certain like marker that I can use so I can hit that exact line every single time that I cross through it? Because that's why some of these guys like Predaking, Netrix, that's like some cases that's why they're so consistent. That's why people can hit the same corner 1,000 times. Like, gutters can be a little different, but you can have break markers for gutters. And like, you pass a certain like object or terrain and you know this is exactly when I need to brake so I can hit my fastest line. And I don't think a lot of people like focus on that as much as they should, but markers are what make you consistent. If you run the same car over and over again on a track and you start developing like markers and like, you know, okay, if I pass this exact thing at this time, this is when I need to brake, or this is when I need to turn. That means you can hit that over and over and over again. You don't have to worry about like, oh gosh, am I going to do this too late? Am I going to go wide? Am I going to go like too slow? Like, it takes the guesswork out of it. So yeah, I mean, there's that. And then just for your NOS management, like, I guess my two big rules with NOS management is don't gain a ton of speed right as you're about to lose it or as you're losing it, and save your NOS for the straights. Those are my two most important things with NOS management. And then 3 is, if you make a mistake, just try to figure out a way to where you can still keep some pace but let your NOS bar build back up. But still prioritize longer straights, all of that. Because I see that like you're pretty much there, like you're fast, but there's a couple little things. But if you can get consistent with all of those, then yeah, you're gonna be gapping some extra people, that's for sure.